What is going on, YouTube? It is Let's Talk Books back with another video, and this week we are going to be discussing Slaughterhouse-Five and whether this is the greatest anti-war novel ever written. I don't say that lightly, and honestly, finishing this book was painful because I was enjoying it so much. Before we jump into the novel, I want to talk a little bit about what I have going on by way of my own writing outside of YouTube for just a brief moment. I have a Substack where I write each week my learnings from the book that I read that week, my other philosophies on life, and as we'll discuss at the end of this video, my learnings from writing my own novel. So if you're interested in following along with my journey of writing my own novel, getting my lessons and learnings from the novel that I'm reading each week, and joining a community of other readers and writers alike, please consider subscribing. We can talk, you and I, about the books and the lessons and things of that nature. So, Slaughterhouse-Five. This book was incredible. So, I came downstairs one morning and was just bemoaning to my wife about how I wanted to read a fictional book, but I wanted to learn something from it. I had been reading a lot of fantasy, and not that you can't learn things from fantasy, but I kind of was itching for something dystopian, a little bit more societal, things where I could learn something about myself and, history. And she pointed me to this book on the bottom of our bookshelf called Slaughterhouse-Five. And let me tell you, she undersold just how incredible this book was. Jumping over to my article here, to give you a backdrop of the story, the book follows Billy Pilgrim, who becomes a prisoner of war during World War II. The backdrop of the plot is Billy's ability to become unstuck in time, traveling between moments of his life. He has this ability because he was abducted by an alien race called the Tralfamadorians, who told him about the true nature of time. As they say, I am Tralfamadorian, seeing all time as you might see a stretch of the Rocky Mountains. All time is all time. It does not change. It does not lend itself to warnings or explanations. It simply is. This is genius. He has created a situation in which he can teleport the main character between being a prisoner of war and being a civilian in everyday life. And the reason that's genius is because it allows you to build empathy. If you are, in one case, being washed off as a prisoner of war to get your stench off of you, teleporting back in time to when you're a baby and your mother's cleaning you off and giving you a bath, you kind of see that, wow, at one point all of these people involved in the war were just babies. But hold that thought for just a second. One of my favorite scenes in the entire book was describing a moment when he became unstuck. This was prior, he knew he was about to be teleported by the aliens or taken by the aliens because he's got this ability to teleport between his life. But in any case, he sat down to watch a World War II movie and saw it in reverse. So he described bombers flying over a German city using magnetism to shrink the fires and gather them into cylindrical steel containers. The bombers got back to their base and shipped the cylinders back to the United States, where factory workers then dismantled the dangerous contents into minerals. These were then shipped to remote areas where specialists hid them cleverly into the ground so that they could never hurt anybody ever again. During this time, Billy supposed that if he extrapolated what he was seeing further, that all humans, Hitler included, would turn into babies, and then eventually Adam and Eve. Sprinkled throughout this novel is critiques on Christianity. I wouldn't call them jabs at Christianity, but they definitely get you to think whether or not the main character is religious or not. And also brings up frequently free will, determinism. By watching a movie in reverse, it gets watching the World War II movie in reverse where the destruction is reversed and they all become babies prior to the destruction. It really gets you to consider determinism and whether we could have made different decisions or if we really are just locked in time to our own path that's going to happen because of cause and effect, whether or not we have free will, yada, yada, yada. Genius writing. What I love about this is it's not all doom and gloom. There is a lot of that. There's a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder. He teleports to moments where he's laying under a blanket and hiding from his mom. He placed himself into a healthcare ward due to his psychological trauma. But there's also hilarious satire, and one of the favorite parts of the book. Let me just read from my article here. On the topic of entertaining ourselves to death and being considered weird if you don't, was a hilarious bit where Billy Pilgrim entered a bookstore. The books in front were just window dressing for the real stuff in the back, where only adults could enter. Billy was interested in a book in the front of the store. Seeing this, a clerk had to go tell his coworkers about the pervert who wanted to buy the window dressing. This cracked me up. In modern society, it can be seen as weird to want to discuss something of meaning, but consuming porn and endless entertainment can be seen as a normal way to live. There were so many passages like that that were just hilarious. Billy doesn't want to go see the real stuff in the back. He wants to read something by, I won't spoil anything with regard to that scene, but he wants to read, something that that he's interested in, not the porn, and he was considered a pervert for not wanting to go to the back room. I mean, that's just hilarious stuff. I started looking into this after finishing the novel. The first thing I said to my wife was, this book should be read by all high schoolers. Because, yes, it's anti-war. It brings up, horrible scenarios that happened. The bombing of Dresden, which killed over 25,000 people, of which Kurt Vonnegut was actually a prisoner of war at. The backdrop of this entire novel is that Kurt Vonnegut actually was a prisoner of war in Dresden. So I think that gives it the novel proper weight going into it. But I would come to discover that this is frequently listed as a banned book, which is heartbreaking, really, that books like this can be banned. In the future, if we continue to ban books, which I so hope we do not do, those lists might ironically be the best place to look for your next great read. So all in all, Slaughterhouse-Five was a certified banger, in my view, 5 out of 5. And I wrote about it over on my Substack article, link in the article down below. Please consider becoming a subscriber on both YouTube and Substack, where we can talk all things books. But thank you so much for being here, and please consider becoming a subscriber if you made it this far, and talk to you next week.